All right, greetings everyone. I hope you're doing well. This will be a very quick video. I didn't live stream this weekend. I could technically still live stream, but I'm going to leave it as is. Every once in a while, it's important for me to take a break just to get clear perspective and handle other things. I end up if by not live streaming this weekend, I probably saved myself about 10 hours altogether. Usually, the live streams these days are what 3 to 4 hours, and then I usually prep an hour in advance, and sometimes longer than that if I got to get receipts together or find receipts and all that stuff. I've utilized that time properly, and I'm actually 2 days ahead in my coursework, and I'm gonna try to get 3 days ahead by the end of this evening. And what I would like to do is to try to incorporate. I'm saying try because I've been trying for a long time. It's just a matter of finding the time. Try to incorporate doing at least one live stream during the week on a different topic, and in particular, I want to deal with. Uh, was going to say Young Pharaoh. I just did a video for you members talking about Young Pharaoh, but I want to start the series dealing with Michael Nowak, aka Brother Polite. But speaking of scammers, I want to just talk real quickly about Umar. I'm actually encouraged right now because it appears as if Umar is he's cleaned himself up, at least in terms of how he's presenting himself. Now I know people, they told me, look, Lennon, don't fall for it. I get it, but I really I'm hoping for the best with this guy. Um, I've said it before. I don't hate him. I just don't like what he's doing, and he's paid a heavy price, and he will continue to pay a heavy price. Karma is undefeated. But I've been looking for signs of him coming out of the drug binge that really started. I think it was at the end of April. Excuse me. After he was on the Breakfast Club, he was on the Breakfast Club. I think that was in the April, and I called that. I told people that it was going to happen in advance, and everything that I said was going to happen was going to happen. And I was saying that he may come out of it, but at a certain point, I didn't think that he would, and maybe he's finally coming out of it. If you notice, and I haven't watched any of the videos, I haven't had time, and in fact, we're behind. There's so many videos we got to get caught up on, and we actually, by not live streaming, we're a little bit further to behind now. But it is what it is. He keeps creating content, so there's not going to be a lack of that. But I've just been looking for signs and cues that he's coming out of that drug binge, and that perhaps he's at least turning things around. Does that mean that he's going to get clean? Probably not. But to see some semblance of him getting things back together, it's encouraging to me. I don't want to see anyone that wants to come to drug addiction, and to see the physical deterioration and the mental deterioration, also the emotional instability. Just it got to an extreme. But if you notice in his more recent videos, and I haven't watched them, but I have seen the thumbnails, and you can see images of him. It looks like he's taking better care of himself. Now, I was thinking that it's probably because he's back at his mama's house. See, does this mean that he doesn't live inside of the trap bandos anymore? No, I think it's just because it's getting colder and colder. I'm sure it's getting really cold out. It's getting cold out here. Wilmington. Let me take a look here. Wilmington, Delaware. Weather. So right now it's 65 degrees. Well, it doesn't look like it's not too cold out there. Lower 60s, upper 50s. I mean, that is cold though. If you ain't got no heater, you ain't got no HVAC. So let me be quiet. The wind is 10 miles per hour, so that doesn't help. So they got to deal with the wind chill factor. Um, yeah, but what I'm getting at is it's getting towards the winter time. I already told people this is what happens, and it's usually around this time. September getting into October. We get into November, and then once we get into December, you really start to see it. And then that winter really, really hit, and that's when with Umar you start to see again. He really dreads the winter. He really does. So I think for Umar, the idea was, and it has been for a couple of years, just he hasn't been able to do it. The idea was, I'm going to turn these abandoned buildings into a place to live during the winter. And so if I can't book lectures, which slow down during the winter anyway, then I have to have a place to stay because I don't have a place to stay. And I have to have a place to stay that's comfortable. So during the year, it's okay. Throughout the year until we get into like right now, this time of the year, Umar, he's perfectly content with being. It's still uncomfortable, but living inside these trap bandos up in Wilmington. But we're going on the third year now, and so he's used to this. Since he hasn't had any HVAC installed, there's no heating, proper heating. And so at a certain point, I think he figured, okay, I got to figure out what I can do. That's why the HVAC has always been such a huge thing for him. He always talking about the HVAC, even more so than the electricity, even more so than the water. Water's not as important. And the truth is, I don't think that electricity is as important to Umar either, but because he's going to need electricity in order to run the HVAC, he had to have that in order. So it's almost as if the whole idea of opening up a school, that's not even the point at this point. The point is I need a place to stay, and then hopefully I can turn this gym into a meeting space where I can actually host events and make money that way. But that's not what the whole goal was in the first place. But what has happened, because now we're entering the third year, we're getting close to the third year now of him acquiring these trap bandos. He knows that he has to have a place to stay because, and especially when the winter comes. So what I think has happened is that now that it's getting colder out there, it's just not he's not comfortable. There's no way that he can be in there like that. Not like he is maybe during the day, but once it gets cold, like during the nighttime, he can't do it because there's no heating. And he could probably plug in heaters, but again, the main area is that gym. So you have this huge gym, which is like an ice box at a certain point, and then you have these very small side rooms, and he can cuddle up in these side rooms. There should be doors on these. You can close the door. I don't even think all of them have doors. Some of them do, but he can close the door, and maybe he can run a small floor heater. But there's a big gap under the door, so that all that air, the ice box, and that whole building, that the gym is much larger than that small little unit that he could stay in. And all that air just comes straight through. And it doesn't matter how much of a heater unit you put in there; it's just not going to be enough. And that too becomes an ice box. It's sad. I mean, it really is to be living like that. But he's been living like that for a long time. Don is the same way. Don, he's back. He's been doing videos. He's used to living like that. Any of y'all can go and you can go get a place to stay for Don, and you tell him, hey, look, you can live here. Some way, somehow, he'll find himself back out on the street because he's used to that. Well, Umar's the same way. And the irony is he's supposed to be opening up a school for black boys and saving black boys. It's so ridiculous. So what I'm getting at is right now, this is the time. And so he's now doing these live streams, and it's not inside of the school, these abandoned buildings. It's at his mama's house. And he props up this thing, has a sun on it, sun or something like that. And it's not up at the school because you see lighting coming from a window, whereas up at the school, these abandoned buildings, all the windows are boarded up, so you wouldn't see any light coming in like that. I think what has happened is that part of him being able to get back living with his mom was that he had to get himself cleaned up to a certain degree, cut the hair, start taking showers, get the stuff that a mama would tell her son, and he's just like a little boy. And though that's ridiculous too, because you would think that at his age, he's almost 50, for him to have to go back. And he doesn't even have to. If he just handle his business, he just get your own place. I mean, goodness, you got all this money coming in, millions of dollars over the last 11 years. You should be able to have your own place, but he's not used to handling that type of business and being responsible and living like that. He's used to living like, he's used to living like a bum. That's why Tariq Nasheed said that when they first video recorded him, he was living out of his office, and I'm sure he was living in there too. His office was like a storage room, like a storage shed. He's used to that. So on one hand, it's unfortunate and it's sad because it's not like he has to do that. But then on the other hand, I try to look for the bright side in all this, and it looks like he's at least caring about how he looks right now. And maybe that's a step in the right direction. Will that translate into him saying, okay, look, I need to get into detox? Probably not, but I'm just trying to find anything I can to have some hope for this guy. Again, I don't hate the guy. I actually think that he's very funny. I think he's very entertaining. I don't like what he's doing. I've already talked about that. He's a scammer. He's a skank and a skeezer. But he is very entertaining. And then at the end of the day, he's a human being too. So I have a level of compassion on that level. I'm just hoping that maybe this will be the gateway for him to really get things turned around, because it's not enough to get yourself cleaned up physically. You got to get, in his case, he has to get himself cleaned up emotionally and psychologically. And oh yes, family, he needs to get himself cleaned up in terms of this substance abuse, because if he does not, you know where this is going. All right. Okay. I'm probably going to be back live streaming then with Umar next weekend, but we'll have to wait and see. But I'm trying to position myself to where I can get a live stream in during the week, and I want to specifically start talking about Michael Nowak, aka Brother Polite. And if I kind of divert hours away from the weekend and then position those hours during the week, then that'd be a way to do it. I can still live stream the Umar Johnson video, maybe on a Saturday, maybe on a Friday night. I got to figure it all out. But in the meantime, as members, I'll continue to produce content for you. Please post your comments down below. I'll be sure to respond. And if you have any topics that you would like for me to address, please go ahead and let me know down below. All right. Thank y'all so much for watching. Y'all take care. Peace.